What's up everybody, Shoryuken here, and we're back with another video. This time we're going to be talking about Street Fighter, and no, not the latest Street Fighter game, but Street Fighter 5, and more importantly, the sales and how it's doing. Before we get into that video though, I do have to say, if you are a fan of Capcom content and love everything Capcom, please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button for that like, as that definitely helps out the channel quite a bit. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So, Street Fighter 5. Very divisive, very polarizing, very different views and thoughts and opinions on it. Some people like it, love it, kind of indifferent, and then some people hate it, detest it, want to shoot it, spit on it, throw rocks and dirt. I mean, just everything you could think of, right? It's one or the other. It's a very polarizing game. My thoughts and views on the game, of course, are somewhere in the middle. I have a very love-hate relationship with it. It's not one of my favorite Street Fighter games. I like it, but it's not one I hate as well, right? I get the hate early on in its life, but I don't get the hate it's getting now, but, you know, whatever. Anyways, back to the topic of the video, though. So Capcom just released the sales for Street Fighter 5, right? They released the sales of all their games, especially when a game sells 1 million copies. These games get updated and put on their platinum list, right? Platinum list of titles. And Street Fighter 5, of course, moved up another notch because it has now sold 7 million copies. That's right, Street Fighter 5 has sold 7 million copies. The game has been out for about 7 years, so that's roughly about, you know, 1 million per year, right? Which is not bad, especially for fighting games, right? Fighting games don't really do that well compared to other games. It's now a very small and niche corner in the gaming industry. So for any fighting game to sell millions of copies, it's seen as a big crown of achievement, right? I mean, now it's a little more common because fighting games have really progressed and gotten much better, and not just in terms of the games themselves, but in terms of just the community and the outreach and the marketing. You've got the FGC, which is forever growing. You have, you know, esports. You have all these tournaments, so it helps, you know, keep this small group excited and energized. So it's not uncommon now for a fighting game to sell a couple million copies, which still is a good thing to point out, though. So when the Street Fighters and the Tekkens do that well, you still want to go ahead and give their applause and the flowers, right? It's something to be celebrated. Smash Brothers, of course, is its whole other animal beast. That's you can't even put that in the same category. That's clearly just something else. But yes, it's always a good thing to celebrate when fighting games do well, especially if you are a fan of the genre, as I am. Well, unfortunately, not everyone feels the same way when it comes to a game like Street Fighter 5. As I stated earlier at the beginning of the video, I can understand these feelings and the sentiment. I mean, Street Fighter 5 is, like I said, it's a polarizing game. There are a lot of things mechanic-wise that Capcom did that turned a lot of people off. Not to mention, when the game launched, it was in a horrible state, which, I mean, can't really be stressed enough. Let's be honest, it was incomplete. The game was very much incomplete. It was the equivalent of Capcom throwing out a demo and then charging us $60 for it. So I definitely get that initial hate, and, you know, heck, I didn't buy the game for years. I didn't buy Street Fighter 5 until it was like $20. So I definitely understand. But with all that being said, I do not understand the hatred it gets for selling well. That is something where I differ with that crowd, with the crowd that's I cannot get behind that, and I don't really understand it, right? So granted, again, you don't like the title, it's not good, it's not fun to you. But why are you mad that other people do like it, that other people do enjoy it, that other people did buy it? Like, you know, just because you didn't like it doesn't mean I don't have to like it as well, right? And that's what you see. Like, I see in all these articles, these websites that are talking about this, you go down to the comments and it's like just consistent, right? You will see in every comment section people just poo-pooing and being mad at these numbers and this news. I'm not saying you have to jump up for joy and celebrate and be happy. Granted, I get it, you don't like the game, but why just say anything at all, right? For example, I'm not really that into Tekken 7, right? I love Tekken and I'm a Tekken player. I've been playing Tekken since Tekken 1. But Tekken 7 is not one of my favorite Tekken games. For that you need give me Tekken 2, Tekken 3, Tekken 5. Hell, I actually like Tekken 4, which is, I know, kind of odd. But those are like my favorite. I just love those Tekken games, right? Tekken 6, yeah. And Tekken 7 was kind of a continuation for me of that feeling where I was like, right? And Tekken 7 is a phenomenal game. Don't get me wrong. It looks great, plays great. It is a phenomenal game, but is it something I'm into? Do I like it? I'm up and down, right? If you give me my pick of Tekken games, I'm not sure I'm picking that game to play. But with that being said, regardless of my feelings towards it, I don't care how it performs, right? I mean, I guess I want it to do well because it's a fighting game and I want the genre to continue to do well. But I'm not mad that Tekken 7 sold so many copies, right? I'm not mad that it sold 10 million copies, however much it sold. That's great. Fantastic. If you love Tekken 7, I applaud. Congratulations. And yet with Street Fighter 5, that doesn't seem to happen. You get people who are just like, no, this can't be real. No, it's fake. No, Capcom is messing up the numbers. They're fudging them. They're lying. Those aren't real. The game was like free and for like $3, so that's why it's selling this. No, doesn't represent copies sold. No, like you'll hear everything thrown at it, and it just makes me laugh. Like I reading all these comments, and I also do get it too. These comments don't reflect the majority of people who are playing. I get it. It's only like a couple people, 20, 30, 40 people, 50 people on the comment sections. I get it. This is not, thousands or millions of people saying this. But still, it just gets me fun. It gets me thinking, like, why do you think like that? And I'm genuinely just curious, right? I'm genuinely curious. I'm not trying to start a fight or debate or say something is wrong with you or, I'm just curious, like, why? Why are you upset the game is doing well? I would get it, and here's for me the one legitimate reason, but it's kind of gone, right? The legitimate reason I would see for people to be upset that a game like this would do well is if it did well out the gate. So imagine Street Fighter 5, how it released in its crappy unfinished state. Imagine if just that copy alone sold millions, or that version, sold millions. I can see people getting upset because you're thinking like, oh man, this is sending Capcom the wrong message. Because now going forward, they're going to continue to do this for future titles. Because they're going to say, oh, people like this. People actually ate this up. They ate up this, imperfect, half-finished product. So we're just going to keep doing it with every Street Fighter game. Hell, it might even get worse. But that's not what happened. When Street Fighter 5 debuted, it didn't do well. Remember, it only debuted like, 1.2.5 copies. Capcom was disappointed. They were expecting at least 2 million at launch, right? The game didn't do well. It got not terrible reviews, but definitely from the people, it didn't get reviewed well. People were upset. They were screaming, raging. It's what led Capcom to make all these changes to Street Fighter 5 over the years, right? Which, of course, we applaud, and I'm happy the community did so because boy, did that game need it. And I'm also happy that Capcom actually stood there, listened, and said, okay, you know what? We're going to take this criticism, we're going to take your feedback, and we're going to try to make the game better. There's still some things they got to work on, but heck, at least they didn't give up on it, and they continued to support it. And to the point, now look, it's a much better game than it was at launch. That is, you can't debate that. It's not debatable. Street Fighter 5 is way better now than it was when it launched. Infinitely better. So back to my point though, it's like, no, the message got through. Capcom saw and said, man, we gotta fix it. And you see the message got through because look at Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 is complete opposite of what Street Fighter 5 was at launch, which is shaping up to be, right? Street Fighter 6 didn't come out yet, but from everything that they're showing us, it's looking like it's going to be completely different than what 5 was. So the message got through. So the game Street Fighter 5 now is still selling. So at that point, your anger towards that series, that game, should go away, right? Especially if you really hate it, then you shouldn't even care. Like, that's the other thing too. It's like, why do you even care so much? You know? if you truly dislike this game with every fiber of your being, then the sales numbers shouldn't matter to you. It should be, okay, whatever, I don't care, right? But instead, it's, nope, they're lying. And that's the other funny thing too, they're lying. Like, so when the game was selling poorly, but you see, Capcom sucks, Street Fighter sucks, community's right, look at that, they don't like it. The numbers were right when the game was selling poorly. Now that it's doing well, the numbers are wrong. You know, I honestly don't get it. You know, like I said, you know, it's you're right. I guess you can think however you want to think, but I just want to understand. Like, I don't get it. I don't get how this game selling well affects you. How does it make you mad? You know, again, I would get it if this was the start, because then you're worried about future projects, but we've clearly seen a shift from Capcom, so you don't have to worry about that happening again. So if the game continues to sell, why is it making you mad? Like, I see people legit getting pissed, like, oh, it's because, you know, it's approaching, hey, look, it's not gonna catch Street Fighter 4, let's be honest. Street Fighter 4's total sales, meaning, you know, all of its lifetime sales from all the different versions and ports and consoles that was on, no, Street Fighter 5 is not going to catch that, right? It's a good 2 mil away from that. But, you know, for all the crap it had from the start, for how bad it was, for it to claw back and, you know, sell 7 million copies, that's freaking impressive. And even if you don't like the game, you could still be happy, especially if you're a fan of the genre. You could still be happy that, oh, cool, a company listened, they actually tried to fix the game. I still don't like the general direction of the game, but hey, some of the major problems and bugs, they went back and they fixed it and added content, and they made it a much better product than it was at launch because we spoke up, right? Let's be honest. I'm not going to give Capcom all the credit. I'm not going to say like, oh, they just would have done this, you know, from the bottom of the heart. No, they clearly did it because the backlash was so loud and big. But still, you should celebrate. This is a success story, and, you know, I don't get it. Or again, if you're not going to celebrate, then just move on. If you truly hate it as you say you do, then just move on. Shouldn't matter to you, but apparently it does. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Are you one of those people where seeing the success of Street Fighter 5 makes you pissed and angry and there's no way it can be true and they have to be lying? Or are you like me and you're kind of like, dude, you know what? It's not my favorite Street Fighter game. It has plenty of issues. But good for them. I'm glad it did well. I'm glad that Street Fighter is in a better spot. And I'm glad that Street Fighter 6 is definitely taking the changes and the stuff that we, the fans, have been asking for to heart and implementing. Let me know in the comment section down below, because again, I'm always curious and love the interaction, what you guys want to say and think. That being said, again, if you are new here, please subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. We cover all types of stuff from Capcom, and then I'll see you guys in the next video.